Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month at 9:30 to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Wow, have you seen the truckload sale event on azaleas this week at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens? This is one of the best deals of the year on everybody's favorites. Dwarf, ever-blooming, red ruffle azaleas, just $3.99. The taller semi-dwarfs, they're just $4.99. And a whole host of other bigger azaleas that we're selling for $19.99, they're just $7.99. And don't forget those veggies. More than you ever thought in one place, all the way from arugula to zucchini, just $3.99 in the famous Bob Wine's Jumbo 4-pack. Everybody wants fall garden mums, and Bob has them. 6 or 7 different colors. You get 6 for just $29.99. Now check the ad, then hurry on over to Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on Southeast 38th Street in Ocala. They're open daily till 4:30 in the same blooming place since 1952.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. I am Tom Schmitz. It is a new show here on WOCA starting today. It plays every day, Monday through Thursday, 11 to noon. So if you were expecting Mike Gallagher, you got Tom Schmitz. But I'm here in Ocala, and Mike Gallagher is somewhere out in, satellite land that nobody knows if he really exists or if he's just a computer bot that is supposed to give you information to make you hate the other side. We're not going to do that here. We are going to talk right now, though, to 2 candidates running for District 1 for the Marion County School Board. And let's hope, and I've talked to both ladies, so I believe this with all my heart, that it can only get better with it, whichever one wins, because of the seat they're taking. I'm trying to be nice. People told me I have to be nice, so I won't say any disparaging words about the outgoing school board member and her craziness and all her. Yeah, we'll just go with that. We'll just leave it there. Let me welcome to the studio now both candidates that are running for the seat. Lori Conrad, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
And Allison Campbell, good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Allison, usually I see you, we're talking minor league baseball.
Sometimes, yes,
And Miss Conrad, I've never met you before, but wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
Let's first, I'll give Lori, I'll give you the chance first. I'll give you about 30 seconds to tell people why you think you're the best candidate for the job of Marion County District 1 School Board.
I think I'm the best candidate for school board because I have experience of 25 years in our educational system right here in Marion County. My family is from here. We've been a part of the community here for over 50 years, and I'm invested in improving the education for our children here.
Okay, thank you. Allison Campbell, same question.
Sure. I am Allison B. Campbell. I'm running for school board primarily because I'm a parent first. My 3 children are in Marion County Public Schools, and my youngest is in 4th grade, so I'm fully vested for the next 8 years. I also understand the role of a school board member is that of budgeting and policy, and that's primarily the roles of the school board and experiences that I have and bring to the table, coming from the business sector, former corporate executive, small business owner, as well as policy writing and implementing experience that I have.
Let's get into what I think is one of the biggest situations, and Allison, I'll ask you about it first. It's safe to say the board has had a divisive tone to it for many years. This isn't something that's new. I can go back to when Sue Mosley and Jackie Porter had where Jackie Porter just constantly went after Sue Mosley on the school board, and Sue gave it as good as she got. Don't get me wrong. And all the way through, Miss Stacy's 20 years on the board and how divisive she gets if you don't like what Nancy does, or Nancy doesn't think that you're backing Nancy the way you do, you get like a scarlet letter put on you by Nancy. My words, nobody else in this room, just my words. So it's been very divisive at the school board. Allison, I'll ask you first, what are some of the things you think you can bring to the board that will change that narrative?
Absolutely. So communication is my life. That's what I've always done. It's my profession. It's what I've studied in school. And being that uniter instead of a divider is actually what I have built my reputation and business profession on. I believe strongly that communication builds trust, and trust builds relationship, and through relationship is how we get things done. And I think that's part of what's been missing from this school board. I'm grateful to say that I have good working relationships with all of the board members. I wanted to meet them early on and talk to the 4 that I would be joining, and talk to them early on and talk about what their issues are and what they're interested in. And getting to know the people behind the office, I think, is important. And so I definitely would bring a calming nature. While I'll say some of the things you've said about our predecessor, we'll just let that stay where it is. But sometimes those ideas are pretty good ideas. They just haven't been communicated effectively. And so I do believe that having effective communication skills and being able to be that uniter through communication and tone is going to certainly help bridge that gap. And I think that we would both agree that it will be a much different tone in a few months from now.
Lori, when I say divisive, angry would be even a better word. What would you do if you came onto the board to help alleviate the divisiveness and the anger that we've seen in many years in the past on the school board?
I think a lot of it has to do with trust, and I think Dr. Gullett has already began the healing process for the inside of the school system. There was a lot of mistrust before she came, and you can watch how she interacts with the existing board, and she listens. You can hear the language that she uses daily, that she takes in from the people that are around her. And so I would be a good part of that team because I'm also a listener. I'm used to working on solving problems with my school community. And outside of the school community, we have a small business, so constantly working on solving problems there. I just think you have to be an active member of the puzzle. All the pieces have to fit together, and you have to work together to make things work for the greater good.
We bring up the superintendent, and the superintendent is now in an appointed position as the voters voted. Miss Stacy was a big proponent of having a school board superintendent that was appointed. I will say this publicly. I think Nancy Stacy was 100% correct. Okay? People don't hear me say that all very often. But when you had a constitutionally elected superintendent and constitutionally elected school board members, nobody answered anybody. Because the school board couldn't fire the superintendent, only the voters could. And the superintendent couldn't fire the school board members, only the voters could. So I'll ask you first, Lori, do you think it's a good idea the way we have it now, the way the voters have positioned it, where one of the positions, the superintendent, which would be the one, is appointed and does have to answer to the school board now instead of waiting for voters to make the decision?
I absolutely think it's the best decision. I think it's already showing what a great improvement we have, and I think it has allowed for things to open up and be approachable because everybody's accountable to each other, and so everybody's working for the greater good. I'm not trying to outdo you or you're not trying to outdo me. We can come together because we're working with each other.
Allison, do you think the voters got it right when they changed the system from a constitutionally elected superintendent to an appointed superintendent?
So I have two opinions on this. My original opinion, obviously, is that I was a strong advocate for keeping it elected because anytime you take the vote, anytime you take the power out of the people's hands, they'll never get it back. And so
100%, I agree with that, 100%.
I'm a strong proponent for that. However, now that we're in an appointed position, I think it's actually the best that we could have ever expected or hoped for even. And in part because we've been able to select an appointed superintendent that's not from this community, that has perspectives outside of Marion County to bring those in. And whenever you have an elected superintendent, it's usually someone someone from within the system. And so while Dr. Gullett has extensive experience in other systems, sometimes that outside perspective is exactly what we need to be able to not have Public School Insider, Marion County Public School Insider, but actually have an outside perspective coming in.
And by the way, Dr. Heidi Mayer was a personal friend of mine. I think she did as good a job as she could possibly do, given the atmosphere of what she did her job under. And I think the school board did probably as good a job as they could do, given the atmosphere they were having to work under with all the vitriol that was going on back and forth. Good old boys from South Georgia call it a pissing match, and that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. And so I think that both sides did as good a job as they could do, given the situation the way it was. And I think we've alleviated that situation by going to an appointed school board superintendent. Now, with the appointed superintendent, though, how much control? Because the constitutional directive of the school board is policy and budget, not curriculum. How much Lori, I'll ask you first. Do you think that you, as a school board member, will do anything to try to also dictate to the superintendent about curriculum?
I wouldn't use the word dictate. Dr. Gullett is open to conversations, and that is what I'm hoping to have. I'm hoping to have conversations. She can't be everywhere all the time. There is a huge need to improve the curriculum in Marion County, and if our goal as a unit on the school board is to improve the education in Marion County, there is a need to have discussion about improving the curriculum in our schools.
Allison, I'll ask you the same question.
So again, I'm not going to use the word dictate. That's your word, not ours. You're putting a lot of words over here that seem like they're.
I'm just asking you what you would do.
Sure. From a curriculum standpoint, there are some upgrades and changes that need to be made. We need to start looking at technology, but we also need to start looking at bringing back real textbooks. Honestly, there are lots of things from a curriculum standpoint. So where that does become a school board decision is when you're talking about the dollars that are going to be needed for those technology and/or curriculum upgrades for new textbooks, which I'm a strong proponent for actually having kids interact with pages and paper. There's something to be said for highlighting and marking up or pencil marks in a book. And we've gotten away from that, and there's something very tangible and purposeful about that. And so I don't want COVID to hinder us and think we need to go all technology based. But so where that does become a school board decision is when it comes to the dollars needed to upgrade curriculum. And so that's where that conversation has to happen with the superintendent and her team to understand exactly what it is that they need so that the school board can allocate those resources.
A lot of people don't realize that the largest budget in Marion County that needs to be oversaw is the school board budget. People think the $560+ million budget of the county is the largest budget. It's not. Now, when we come back, we're going to take a break here in about a minute and a half. When we come back, we're going to talk about some things that may or may not affect that budget. I will tell you that neither candidate has any idea of. I got a sheet over here. There's my sheet. They have no idea what's on this sheet. They've had no idea about the questions that were coming at them. And by the way, kudos to both of them for agreeing to do it this way. You know, a lot of times I get people go, well, what questions are you going to ask me? what do I need to know? We did make some agreements but off radio that we wouldn't ask about certain things. So if there are certain things you out there in radio land are thinking we're going to ask about, we're not going to ask about those things. You can find about those on Facebook, you know, because everything on Facebook is true. Just ask anybody that looks at Facebook. I'm so fed up with Facebook. You know, don't get me started on Facebook. I'm just fed up with Facebook. See,
if you're watching this on Facebook today.
No, they're watching on YouTube. WOCA's on YouTube.
All right.
It's on YouTube.
Good.
And don't get me wrong, I love Facebook. My day job deals with Facebook on a regular basis, Facebook Live and everything. But some of the people, and I'll say it, some of the people in this town get a little carried away with how big a men or women they become when they're sitting behind a keyboard. And it happens all the time. I had a guy one time that he didn't know I knew who he was. And I saw him out somewhere, and I go, so now that I'm here, tell me what that was you said on the keyboard the other day. Yeah, I thought so. Facebook makes everybody 10 foot tall and bulletproof, doesn't it?
Right.
It used to be alcohol, now it's Facebook. That's Facebook. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion with Lori Conrad and Allison Campbell. They are running for seat District 1 on the school board of Marion County, replacing outgoing school board member Nancy Stacy. We'll talk more with them. You're listening to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. That's right. If you're looking for Mike Gallagher, he's not here today. I am, and I'll be here every day, Monday through Thursday, from 11 to 12, right here on WOCA 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
People ask me why I've worked at Palm Garden for so long, and I tell them it's the people. I love to hear the life stories, especially those from the greatest generation. Celebrating life stories is what sets Palm Garden apart, finding out what's important to them. And I love being a resource. Like Macy's Santa, if I can't help, I'll send them to Gimbel's. After all, Palm Garden is located on 34th Street. I'm Jan from Palm Garden. Call me and let's chat. 854-6262.
Brick City Creative Group is your one-stop multimedia destination. With the experience our team has, not many can really tell a story like we do. Specializing in live broadcasting, promo reels, film, and social media. No matter the story, we've got you covered with some of the best professionals in the industry. Your story is our mission. Find us on the web at brickcitycreativegroup.com or on Facebook at Brick City Creatives. Finally, shipping made easy. Just Ship is your answer to your shipping aggravation. They come pick up your package and ship it for you. Birthday gifts, eBay sales, or an online return. Just Ship can handle all of them for you. Act now and you can save 20% on an annual subscription, which will take you through the 2020 holiday months. Go to www.justship.net now and take the aggravation out of shipping. The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
When it really counts, depend on The Source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. If you're expecting to hear Mike Gallagher today, Mike Gallagher's still playing somewhere, I'm sure, but he's not here on WOCA. This is a new show, Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. That's right, the same Tom Schmitz that used to be part of the Voice of Ocala with Buddy Martin. 4 years removed now, I'm back. Some people are like, yes. Most people are like, holy. Well, at least you said holy. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. I am talking to the two candidates for District 1, Marion County School Board, Allison Campbell and Lori Conrad. Before the break, we were talking about superintendents, whether they should be appointed or not and everything, and how big the budget was. Now we're going to talk about some budget issues, because Marion County voters sometimes don't realize the largest budget in Marion County is the school board budget, not the county commission budget. The county commission do a great job, but the school board budget's a little bit larger when you got 47,000 plus students and I think 7,000 plus employees. So I can do the quick math. Over 54,000 people affected by the budget of Marion County school boards. And some of the things that are really in the forefront are, first off, and it's taken us an entire half hour before I even mention this, my first 15 minutes and then your first 15 minutes. But we need to talk about how the budget is going to be affected by COVID-19. Lori, what are some of the things that you know are happening now and that you think need to continue or should continue budget-wise and all to help deal with this pandemic we're going through right now?
Okay, so this is a touchy topic. We have a lot of issues to deal with in Marion County due to COVID-19. I think that I'm disappointed that we did not restructure some of how we spent our money going into the beginning of this school year, because I know that we took away some of our online resources, which is exactly what we need when we've got kids that are doing online school, about 30% of them. The rest of them are in-house. So it goes all the way from safety and custodial, keeping that maintenance going. You know, do we have the money to keep that moving forward? And also, are we putting our money into not just the technology piece of computers or iPads or hotspots, but why don't we have curriculum that is based online to support our teaching and our student learning? So I feel like that's a deficit. That's something we missed out on starting this year. And we should have really had a heads up on it because we knew it was coming. We knew we were going to have to do it.
Allison, what are some of the things you know about how the budget's being done now and some of the things that are in effect with COVID that you may have done different or may expound on?
Sure. So it's interesting that we're talking about this now because the budget actually is in the process or has just been approved. So one of us will inherit the $652 million budget that has already been approved. In looking at those budget hearings and while talking through them and listening through them, I feel like a lot of questions weren't necessarily asked. Some of the CARES Act dollars that had come in, I'm not sure that they were actually allocated in areas where it really could have been allocated more appropriately to some of those technology issues that we're talking about, to additional resources for maintenance and all of that. But we also know that 80% of that budget is made up of salary and benefits. So it's time for us to start talking about those salaries and benefits and take a look. And I have some questions about how many people are receiving benefits that aren't actually on the payroll, or how many people have company cars, or benefits that we don't actually see. And so when you're talking about COVID-19 and you think about how that budget right now is significantly larger than it has been because of property value increases and all, well, we're going to have a significant decrease probably in the next 2 to 3 years that we're going to see because of state funding decreases and so forth. So now's the time to start really getting serious about looking at those dollars and how they've been allocated through the years. And if we're not having a good return on investment on all of those dollars, then we need to take a step back and stop doing cookie cutter budgeting and stop doing things just the way we've always done them.
What do you say to people who saw the teacher that was crying on the now viral video about how she knows students are being doing chores while they're supposed to be homeschooling online, and they're at McDonald's eating and doing class and everything? What do you say to the people who say, well, we should have figured out a way to allocate the budget or move the budget around where the schools should have been open and safe and 100% attendance? And people say, well, we didn't have room for that. You got gymnasiums, you got music halls, you got all kind of places. You could have come up with some ideas. Why is it that 30% of the students are at home instead of at school? Why couldn't we have come up with a comprehensive plan, or why didn't they even look at a comprehensive plan to make school 100% attended? Lori, I'll let you go first.
Well, the governor said that we had to have an option. We had to have an online option, and students had to be able to work from home. So that was really the basis of what we had to work with. And so our next step was making sure that we had equipment and technology to give to those students and their families to participate in school. And some of that responsibility falls on families. It is school time. You have to allocate time for your child to be engaged in education just like they would be if they were at brick and mortar.
Allison, your mom, you said so when you came in. Your mom invested for the next 8 years. So what do you say when people say, but the school should have been open, there should have been a way, even though the governor mandated that, there should have been a way to get everybody on campus?
Well, there was. The choice was in the parents' hands. And first of all, to go back to your original statement, Terry Kinder, God bless her for coming and speaking out and speaking to the school board. I've known her since she was in high school. So her son is the same age as mine. And God bless her and others like her that are speaking out. I want to first say, to teacher mental health, I think that we're focusing an awful lot on student mental health, and we haven't really focused at all on teacher mental health. That's a whole different topic for another day. But schools were open, and schools are ready. What happened is we had to put in, or they had to put in policies in place to really give teachers that level of comfort. I saw a lot of fear among teachers, just the uncertainty, the unknown of what it's going to look like. They know how they've always been able to operate in their classrooms and getting down on mats with little kids and all of the, how are you going to be able to do that in a 6-foot separation? And so some of it was working through some of those dynamics. I too felt that we should have been a little more prepared. I feel like the district could have been more prepared in the professional development that we were offering. I know we gave 3 weeks, but it really wasn't enough. And in all honesty, Microsoft Teams, it's ready to just fall on the sword and say this was a bad decision. We need to move on. Zoom works better. We can mute the kids. Just some decision like that.
Yeah.
Leaders are going to have to lead, and we need to just have big decisions like that made.
We shut the school system down in March. We had until late September to get it back open. That's a long time to plan, and I don't know. I've done some research, and I didn't see a long term. I would have spent that entire 6 months figuring out how to get the school system back open. That's what I'd have done.
I would say there seems to be, from my point of view, a lack of communication, getting from the school level, getting to the board level. I haven't quite figured out where the breakdown is, but there is definitely a breakdown in getting the communication so that the superintendent and the board knows what the real struggles are on campus.
Well, Allison, that's what you said, is communication is one of the first keys to do this. And a lot of people don't know this. I taught high school for 5 years, taught high school history. And I did it in North Carolina. One of the greatest things about North Carolina is they make the superintendent, anybody associated with the school except the elected school board, everybody has to go back in a classroom every 5 years and teach 6 months of their discipline.
Amazing.
And so you keep a little bit of mindset about what a classroom's like.
Sure. Yes.
Sometimes principals haven't been in a classroom in 20 years. They don't know how to communicate what's going on in the classroom because they don't know what's going on in the classroom.
Right.
They just know what their teachers tell them, and then they communicate with the board, and it sometimes gets lost in translation.
I think principals should serve as adjunct faculty on their campus.
100%.
Do it like, I had my college president for one of my psychology classes. Why can't principals actually teach a class in their high schools?
100%. 100%. Let's talk about something that's a sticky subject, and that's charter schools. Where are you position-wise on charter schools, Lori?
I am a supporter of charter schools. The tricky part for me is the accountability. You have to be accountable. The school has to be accountable. Do they have leadership that is going to withstand time? Are you accommodating a diverse group of children? Are you able to meet the needs of a diverse type of children, or do they have a diverse background? So as long as I'm in support of a charter school, as long as you're willing to put forth a plan that is inclusive, we're going to include and invite different groups of people, with different needs. And I think it's a great resource. It's a way to get your child, your family, into a school and meet the needs and the interest that your child has. So it's a great resource. I just think the responsibility falls on us as board members to make sure that the plan is solid and the research has been done.
Allison, what's your opinion on charter schools?
Sure. So I have visited with a couple of our charter school principals and made that a part of my purpose when I was visiting all of the principals in the schools. And I too am in favor of school choice per se and giving parents that opportunity to have that. And we know that not all students are able to learn in the same type of environment. Not every high school student needs to be in a 2,700 student campus. They just can't learn that way. Not all students, some people can. But we need to be able to have those options and opportunities. And agreed, accountability is incredibly important. But usually those nonprofits are operating as nonprofits as well. So it's up to that board to make sure that they are having financial accountability and making sure they're able to make their budget, in addition to all of the other requirements that the school board has, where they're having certified teachers and they're following the same testing schedule and all of the different rigor, academic rigor that is required of our public schools, also being required in those charter schools. I'm completely for that. But I do believe Marion County Public Schools needs to be doing all they can to be the choice. But whenever they aren't the choice, then we need to make sure we're offering other choices that students can have effective learning.
And I think both of you agree, charter schools don't need to take the place of public schools.
Correct.
They just need to be an alternative
Absolutely.
to kids who maybe a 2,700 child campus isn't good for them, or 800 or 700 child elementary school campus isn't good for them.
Absolutely correct.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the safety of our children. And we do that now through, after the shooting that happened at down south and down South Florida, and then the shotgun that was brought into Forest High School, and the student was shot through a door into his ankle. After those, SROs are in every school on every campus. I think the high schools have 2 on every campus. But there's been some talk about privatizing or making the police force a Marion County public school police force like they have in Hillsborough County. They have a Hillsborough County police force for just the schools. Duval County has it for just the schools. Allison, do you think it's time to start the conversation, or should we have been having the conversation about the school board having its own police force for its schools?
I am not in favor of the school district having their own police force. We are not compact like the University of Florida to have a police force on their campus, or some of these other locations that you've mentioned. Marion County is larger than the state of Rhode Island, and if you have someone having an incident in Dunellen and you only have one officer at a school that's, you know, several miles away from the next one, East Marion to Fort McCoy and just beyond. I mean, I am not in favor of that. There are a lot of logistics behind having your own police force from a budgeting standpoint that matter, including police cars, including all of the equipment that is needed, included logistics like where are you going to process your evidence? Where are you going to take kids that you're arresting? So I am not in favor of the school district having their own police department. However, I am in full support of the SROs and the way that they're operating now. I think that they're doing a fine job of keeping our schools secure. I'm glad that they're on campuses and actually building a bridge between law enforcement and the school community so students can get acquainted with and comfortable with the law enforcement on their campuses.
Lori, do you think, give us your opinion on whether we should have a Marion County School Board police force or not?
I don't think we need to go that route either. There's too many variables that we would have to take on. I also am in full support of our SROs that are already on campus and the Guardian program. I think that they've done a fantastic job, and they are building relationships with our kids on campus, which with all of the social issues we've had recently, it's been a great learning experience for kids on campus to see law enforcement in a non-threatening manner each and every day. So changing the children's mindset about the role of a police officer. And so I think there's so many positives to what we're doing right now. I would not change.
Thank you both for coming in and being so candid and honest with your answers today. Allison, I'll give you 30 seconds to again tell the Marion County voters who they should vote for, in your opinion, come Election Day.
Sure. So I'm Allison B. Campbell, candidate for Marion County School Board. I am a parent. I'm a business owner. I'm a former corporate executive. I've managed policies and understand how to write and implement and follow policy for large organizations. And all of that are the roles of the school board member. And so you can improve our schools with ABC. Allison B. Campbell. That's me.
Lori Conrad, give 30 seconds on why the Marion County voters should vote for you come Election Day.
Okay, well, this is Lori Conrad. I'm a 25-year veteran teacher here in Marion County, and I am invested in improving the schools here in our community, making them the best that they can be, uplifting the people that serve in our schools each day and in our community, and building our community relationships so that our children have lots of opportunities and choices as they further their educational career.
Lori Conrad and Allison Campbell, your two candidates for District 1 Marion County School Board. Thanks both ladies for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick time out. We'll be back after this to bring you some local sports right here on Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz on 1370. See, I already got stuff playing that I shouldn't have playing. It's going to take a while, folks. Get the rust knocked off. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA. Well, let me find it. The Source.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
2 men in a truck.
People ask me why I've worked at Palm Garden for so long, and I tell them it's the people. I love to hear the life stories, especially those from the greatest generation. Celebrating life stories is what sets Palm Garden apart, finding out what's important to them. And I love being a resource. Like Macy's Santa, if I can't help, I'll send them to Gimbel's. After all, Palm Garden is located on 34th Street. I'm Jan from Palm Garden. Call me and let's chat. 854-6262.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequaled. Personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Brick City Creative Group is your one-stop multimedia destination. With the experience our team has